Inside dark factories. Yes, unmanned factories that have AI robots that are doing the labor that used to be done by people. This is a very real concern. AI is impacting both white-collar jobs and blue-collar jobs, and not always in the way that you think. There is a severe shortage of entry-level white-collar jobs, and part of that is because of the mass layoffs that companies have done in order to pay for the implementation of AI. It might just look good to investors that we are cutting all of this unneeded payroll and replacing it with a robot, but AI does need supervision, as do robots that run on AI, and robots in general, for that matter. And as long as we're talking about supervision, people need it too. But yes, the fact that you see AI in absolutely everything, the money that it took to roll it out had to come from somewhere, and that may have been people's paychecks. This may backfire horribly. Dark factories do exist, and yes, they are literally dark because most of the robots on the market see with LiDAR, so they don't require the wavelengths that our eyes require to see stuff. Robots are being heavily used in areas where factory labor is required. It started with Amazon, it's moving to Walmart, and it's increasingly being adopted. Somebody does have to train those robots to do those tasks, and this is something that's being considered, especially if they're going to be in your home. There is a whole industry that's dedicated to teaching AI robots how to do a task, like getting something off of a shelf, opening a bottle. When we're talking about something that weighs 200 pounds that's designed to be an assistant in a home, they really need to know how to do this work so they don't make a critical error. I actually think that employing robots in this context is a critical error because they lack nuance. They don't know the difference between tripping over you versus tripping over a stuffed animal, and that could be a very big problem. Nonetheless, I am impressed by the concept that some forms of AI can learn by watching somebody else do the task, and there needs to be a human teacher, which is wild. I mean, this is new technology, so the need for a human teacher probably won't stick around for that long because eventually they'll have enough data to train future robots. Talk about training your replacement. Interestingly, we are now starting to deal with the loss of agricultural labor by employing robots. This may be safer in some ways because humans that are out there in fields are exposed to extreme temperatures and often pesticides. A robot will not have those same constraints. It is worth saying that these robots can cost upwards of $75,000, and while they are getting cheaper and they're being mass-produced, this is saying that it costs less to purchase a robot and maintain it than to employ a person. This does technically mean that there will be more jobs in engineering and robotics maintenance, and that might eventually become a blue-collar job as it becomes more common. But we are going to see some serious upheavals in entry-level work, or work that you could do without any prior experience. And yeah, it came to farming. Although one of the bigger problems is that all of the technology that is built with artificial intelligence is unsustainable and is likely to collapse. Companies are currently spending way more than they make to replace a system with a new system that probably does not actually work better every other week. Companies are competing with each other so that they can be on the forefront of artificial intelligence. While they're doing that, they cannot maintain their own data centers. They have to scale back and figure out how they can deliver a product using less computation and less energy. We can talk about energy constraints or the fact that our power grids are not made to support data centers that we need to support artificial intelligence at the scale it is currently operating at and progressing. We could also talk about this new advancement where a memory chip can work at excess of 1,000 degrees Celsius, so they can work at temperatures hotter than lava. You know why that's desperately concerning? I mean, I guess in part because it points us to a direction where cooling is no longer going to be an issue for computers, but also some of the issues there is with heating up the surrounding environment when it comes to data centers. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can find some way to use that heat productively, but yeah, solves some problems, creates more. And we could talk all night about the downsides of AI, like the cybersecurity industry that is completely unprepared for what we are currently dealing with. I'm not talking about next week or next month. I'm talking about right now. We're in trouble. I do not hate AI. I actually love the technology. I think it has lots of really cool applications, and I also love robotics. But I can see that humanity is going in not such a great direction, and I can see the areas where we are potentially going to see disaster. My prediction is that we are likely going to see numerous disasters from this technology in many different areas. And I wish there was some way to avert from the direction we're going. However, humans are going to continue to be human. So grab some marshmallows to roast, and I'll bring the popcorn, and we can just watch it all play out. And you may know me, so I do hope that this technology progresses enough to the point where the robots finally rebel And in which case, I'll probably be the one to tell you about it, and I'm on their side. Follow for more.